Yeah, just the Wall Street trapper, man. Grew up in New Orleans, man. Saw my moms get shot, went to prison, all that stuff. My story ain't no different to many other people, but just in prison, I got introduced to stocks. White guy told me this. I had just had a fight with two of my so-called friends, man. And he had a look of frustration on his face, right? And he was just like, man, y'all playing the wrong game. And in my mind, I'm like, how are we playing the wrong game? You in here with me?
Word.
Like, how we playing the wrong game? Mm-hmm. But he told me some profound stuff, man. He said, I had a red band on. So in New Orleans, a red band means attempt murder, armed robbery, carjacking, violent offense. Mm-hmm. And he had a red and white band on, which means he was going to the feds. And he was like, I can almost promise you you're in here for something less than $100,000. And I was like, for sure. And he was like, well, I embezzled $2.8 million from my company, paid restitution to $800,000. I still kept $2 million. I'm only doing 18 months. He was like, how much time you have? I was 16 at the time. I had 10 years.
Wow.
He was like, now you understand. I was like, man, you lying, man. You ain't got that much money. Right? So this before Instagram, social media. One thing about being in prison, you always have your paperwork with you. So he showed me his paperwork. I see it in black and white. He's showing me the places he's been to, and I'm like, yo, I need to play that game. Like, what is that? Like, how do I get there? And he was just like, listen, one of the first things you gotta stop doing is like, stop trading your time for money. Start learning to make your money work for you. Mm-hmm. Start being an investor. Start giving value to people. And I was like, the hell? Like, I've never been taught nothing like this. Mm-hmm. And then he tells me, wealthy people invest in stocks, they start a business, and then they buy real estate. You do those three things, your life will change. Mm-hmm. So the rest of my 10 years, I dedicated myself to like, yo, I just gotta learn how to play it. And so I just dedicated myself to it, watching CNBC. I'm talking about, I gotta watch this before dudes watch The Young and the Restless in the pen, because they love The Young and the Restless on Price is Right. So I gotta watch this before that. Started dedicating myself to reading, and I was like, damn, like this shit different. I see a bunch of white men making a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. Like, why have I never been taught this? Like, why we never taught this? Mm-hmm. And just coming back home from prison, Mike Tyson said it best, man, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the face. Right, so I got back home, I got this idea, I see it, but how do I get money? Mm-hmm. Like, I get back in the streets, that's what I know how to do. My grams went to the feds, my mom like, this is what I know how to do. This is my environment. Mm-hmm. No matter what I know, I gotta get money. So I get back in the streets, man, and just in that whole process, I'm like, all right, cool, this is what it is. In my mind, I'm gonna just use my hustle money to invest in the stock market. Like this, how I'm thinking it's gonna work. Kinda didn't go that way. I catch another charge. The narcs kicked my doing, 10 pounds of weed, $10,000. I was facing another 35 years. That cost me $60,000. So everything that I had worked for in the streets, I had done lost it again. Mm-hmm. So, man, just God came to me one day and he was like, man, you playing the wrong game. Like, and it just, I had an epiphany. So I was like, all right, cool. So I still didn't get it though, because I got back in the streets, but this time I couldn't hustle. So I started robbing, hustlers. Like, that's the next best thing for me in my mind. Like, the streets is what I know how to do. And then all right, let me do something then. So I just started reading it again. I always was a smart dude. So I'm like, all right, let me just try it then. So I started really getting into it. Like, all right, yo, this shit makes sense. Like, damn, I see why they don't teach us this. This shit powerful. Like, 70% of everything that we use and consume with our money is on the stock market. Mm-hmm. Like, everything. So I'm like, damn, like, all right, cool. All right, it makes sense to me now. Like, even the brands that we wear, Louis Vuitton, LVMH, third richest man in the world. Louis Vuitton owns Louis Vuitton, they own Dior, they own Hennessy, Moet. Yeah. Like, yo, like, let's own it. And oftentimes, the stock is cheaper than the product. Gucci, Balenciaga, these other brands, like, they own us. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I went to tell my homies, like, yo, check this out. Instead of us just blowing the money, we gonna wear the Fendi anyway. We gonna wear it anyway. Let's just own that shit too. Like, let's play the game both ways. So my homies really wasn't getting it. So I had to say, all right, yo, like, the education, the knowledge is the fertilizer to your wealth, right? So as the education and as the knowledge changes, so does the compensation change. Because now I can have conversations about different things. So I really just locked in on it. And I started teaching my homies, and I was like, all right, look, how do I make it realistic to them? How do I make them tap into it? Mm-hmm. So the second thing was like, yo, check this out. None of us can beat the game. Everybody I knew had the same problem. Nobody had a solution. How do I now stop looking like the problem and start representing a solution, right? So I can't talk to everybody, but I can talk to street dudes. Like, I can talk to them. So I'm like, yo, check this out. If you go do a bid, which is gonna happen, what do you come home to? Mm-hmm. Like, you gotta get back in the streets. You gotta get it out the mud again. So if you had money invested for you, when you come home, you got money. You don't gotta ask nobody for no handout. What if you go do a bid and what you've made the sacrifices, you took the chances, what do your family have? Like, so let's start thinking bigger picture now. What happens if you get killed in the street? Because most of us either go to jail or we get killed. What do you leave your kids? Like, let's start making it make sense. So the goal for me was to never tell you get out the streets. It was to start saying, yo, let's start thinking about our family now. Like, let's start thinking about something bigger than us. And nobody never came to us like that. So that was my whole avenue. And so the Wall Street Trapper was me just saying, let me turn the trapper word into something positive, instead of always being about dope, instead of always being about hustling. And I knew my voice for who I was talking to. I never wanted to talk to nobody else.
Wow, so you didn't go to school or nothing. You just read material?
I just read.
What were some of the books you read?
So I'm gonna lie, the first thing I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Great read.
And the reason why was because it wasn't actually an investment book, it was a mindset shift. So one of the things that have to happen to us in the street is we gotta start looking at money different. Right? So a lot of times with me, what happened with me was I stopped looking at money as something I needed, and I started saying, yo, what I really want is the time. Right? Because most people, the biggest complaint you'll have is, I don't have enough time. So my thing was, yo, let me start using the money to buy back more of my time. The more time I have, I can find ways to create more money. If I can create more money, I can buy more time. And then ultimately, I had the freedom that I want. See, we think we got freedom right now, but we don't really have it. Right? You don't have freedom till you're able to do the things you want to do, spend time with the people you want to do. Even if you don't want to do shit, you got the freedom to say, I don't want to do shit. Right? So I was like, I need to do that. So I just started learning how to analyze businesses. Anything by Warren Buffett, anything by Peter Lynch, I started reading them books. Don't get me wrong, it's boring as shit, right? But I started understanding, like, okay, if they can do it, I damn sure can do it. Right? They ain't no better than me. They men like me. The only difference was they had access to knowledge. Remember, at one time, it was like illegal for us to read.
That's right.
Right? It's illegal for us to read. It's a reason why it's illegal for us to read, because once you start reading, you get exposed to something different. If I get exposed to something different, I can start seeing the world different. If I can start seeing the world different, now I can have what's called financial identity, financial understanding. I can start saying, yo, this is what my money is worth. This is what my money can do for me. I ain't never know that. Only thing I knew was I can work for money, and that's it. If that's the only way I know how to make money, I'm limiting myself.
That's right.
I'm limiting myself.
Yeah.
Right? So Wall Street is this big old machine that prints money every day, all day. I just gotta know how to operate the machine. If I learn how to operate the machine, I got a job forever, and the job is just to produce freedom for myself, and then let my daughter now start inheriting freedom. So my daughter, 5 years old now, she got 6 figures invested. I've been investing since she was 1. Like, let's normalize that.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's normalize, all right, Stan, you wanna go to college? Cool, you ain't gotta go in debt to go. Cause I've been investing for you since you was 2. You'll be a millionaire before you're 15. That's the goal, to give her freedom, not just money, but give her freedom to say, okay, how many 15-year-olds we know, man, you can't do this cause you gotta help mama raise the kids, or you gotta get this job to help mama pay bills, right? But what if, like, yo, you can go to college and have that experience if you wanna go. But if not, you can be an investor, right? Most of the people we know is, if I can't play ball or I can't rap, yo, I'm gonna just be a hustler. Because everybody who I see go to work, nothing against nobody going to work, but everybody who I knew that went to work was struggling. I don't want to struggle, man. I don't want to normalize struggling. How do I do that? I start learning how to be an investor. That shit unlock all the doors you need to unlock. You know,
I think it's great, especially for your daughter, that you started a bank account. They've done studies that show that when kids have a bank account at an early age, they tend to be way better with money later on in life. And that's something that people need to focus on, like explaining to your kids how money works, making sure that they know they have a bank account. And I think even with so many apps and technology today, it does make it a lot more accessible for people, especially younger people.
Nah, that's a fact. So so for me, my daughter doesn't even have a bank account. She got what's called a custodial account, but that's smart, Here's why. You put your money in a bank, the bank then takes your money. So let's look at it like this. You put $1,000 in the bank. The bank, once you open that bank account, the bank can say, yo, we legally can take 90% of that money and do what we want to do with it, fractional reserve banking, right? And you don't know, you like, all right, cool, but they've taught us, yo, let's just sit, the bank is the safest place to put your money. They've taught us that, right? They've taught us that, right? And we don't know no better, right? Because we gone off the information we've been taught. So the bank gonna say, okay, Trap, let me take that 1,000. Charlemagne needs 1,000. Charlemagne, we can give you $900 at this, I call it your adult report cost, or your credit score, whatever that is. We'll give you that based on this. You pay me interest on that. He takes that 900, he does what he does, he go pay it to you, Envy. You take the 900, you put it in the bank now take that same 900, they take 800, lend it to somebody else. Right, so they're gonna make a whole lot of money off that. If
So
they
that
can't,
10% off Charlemagne's interest, and they only
10%
give you 0.1% on mine.
I was about to say that off yours, but then they can also say, yo, you know what? Since nobody don't want to take this money, we don't got nobody to give it to, let's go put it in the stock market. Right? So now we asked out, and they're gonna give you 50 cents at the end of the year. Right? So how do we leverage it? All right, cool. Let me now say, I'm gonna put my own money in the stock market, right? And I'm gonna own the same bank. I'm gonna own Chase Bank. Right? I'm gonna get Chase Bank to pay me dividends. I'm gonna get those dividends to buy me more stock in Chase Bank. Right? So now I've not only got the bank to pay me, I've also got ownership in the bank. I've turned the bank into my own trap house. Right? That's just how I look at it. Like for me, so for my daughter, it's the same thing. If I just keep putting money in the bank for her, it'll never grow to that million that I want it to grow to. Right? Because they ain't gonna pay me enough. But if I put it in stocks and give her ownership, and then from 5 to 18, when she has access to it, it's unlimited what it could do.
And let me ask you with the stock game. I haven't really dove into it like I want to. Reason because, like you said, is the time. You got to study, you got to master. It's kind of like with real estate. Like I had the time because I bought my own house, which taught me a little bit about real estate. And I do the same thing with you. I don't really put much money in the bank. I'd rather, like, buy my daughter a house, and her house pays for her college. Buy my son a house. His house pays for his high school and will pay for his college. Just the way I think. They'll always have that. When I die, they'll have it. They'll continue to make money. But how much time does it take you to master the stock market? Because people listen and they think it's easy. They look online, they see CNBC, you know, I just put 50,000 and I made 500,000. They, you know, listen to what happened with GameStop, and you know, people think it's an easy process. How difficult is it to learn the stock market? How much time does it take? And how often are you on it? Are you on it all day long? Are you trading all day?
So there's different components in how you play the game, right? And so one of the things I tell people is like, Wall Street looks like us now, right? Like it don't look like the image we had before, right? We added it all, whether you're trading, Forex. So my portfolio is 80% buy and hold. And I think everybody should start there. Right, and why you should start that is because
buy and hold is, a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah, so buy and hold is simply finding a great business, owning it, and just holding it.
Long distance,
right?
Long term.
Long term.
Long
distance, yeah, long term.
Yeah, long term. So what happens is, like Nipsey said it best, and I just use it in everything. Like it's a marathon. Like, so we looking at the 40-yard dash. How can I get rich fast? Not understanding that we didn't get into this situation overnight.
So a long term would be like explain like an apple.
So you buy an apple. So
we're not saying to buy any of these. We're just telling you what a long term would be.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a financial advisor. Yo.
Right.
So one of the things I say is look for 3 things in a business. It doesn't take long to understand a business, right? Look for 3 things. You want a business who you can see being around for the next 10 years. Longevity, right? You want a business that is producing cash flow. Right? And then you also want a business that has a competitive edge. So let's break that down. What is a competitive edge? What does the business has over its competitors that says it can't go out of business? Right? So let's think about this. This thing is called a moat that a business has. And let's think about a castle like in the old days, and it had this water around it to keep the invaders out, right? So I always want a business to have that. So one of the things that I love is a business that has lifetime customers. A business like Apple, right? So Apple has what's called this, it has 2 types of moats. It's a switching moat and a branding moat. Switching moat says that because I have this iPhone, what's the possibilities of me going to an Android? Slim to none. Why? Because everything I do probably is connected to the Apple cloud. So my phone is on it, my computer is on it, my laptop, everything I have. So for now, for me to go to another phone, I gotta take all of that off of there to go somewhere else. The chances of me doing that is slim to none.
Correct.
right? Brand switching mode. How likely is it for a user to switch from this company to another company? That's important. Another thing is like a branding mode, right? So what is a branding mode? When you think about a name, this name sticks out. You think about this. When people think about a shirt with a collar, what do they call it? Polo, right? Branding mode. When a company name now becomes synonymous with an object.
Like Q-tip.
Q-tip. You think about cold drink, man, give me a Coke. You know what I'm saying? Branding modes, it's important, right? Another thing is market leadership. So when you think about a new industry, who's the head of that industry, right? Electric cars, you think Tesla. Out the gate, you think retail, you think Walmart, right? So it's not hard to get in it. The thing is getting you in and then just start understanding, yo, what does a good company look like? So I have these 5 rules I go by, and I call them rules, R-U-L-E-S. The R stands for reason. What is the reason that I'm at this company for? How did I get here? The U, do I understand it? Like, do I understand how this business actually makes money, right? That's important, right? Amazon, if I ask you, how does Amazon make money? You say, by shipping products out. And I'll say, well, that's the second way they make money. The first way they make money is Amazon Web Service. It's the biggest web service in the world, right? So you gotta understand that. You think about Disney. You say, how do they make money? Well, they entertain. Yep, they do. They also have streaming. They got ESPN. So you just you gotta amusement parks. You gotta understand how they make money. It's important, right? So the R, the U, the L, the E is expansion. Can I see the business expanding without selling off assets, right? So you want a business to have to sell off assets to make money. So let's think about McDonald's, right? So McDonald's went from burgers and fries to 24 hours selling breakfast. It didn't cost them nothing. They added a drive-through. They just cut a hole in the window, got a drive-through, right? They didn't have to sell off anything to do that. So you want to see that. You don't want a business to sell off assets to make more money for us.
But how do you decide when is the best time to buy? Because the market fluctuates so much. When are you like, this is a great time to get in?
So one of the things I love to do is, and this is where the patience comes in that, right? So one of the things I tell people is like, you got to understand the value of something before, you got to understand the value of the asset before you buy it, right? Like if you went and bought a car, if you bought the car at the sticker price, then you probably getting messed over, right? If you bought a house at the market price, you probably getting messed over,
retail,
right? You don't want to do that. So one of the things I help people what I help people learn is how to actually find the value of what this asset is worth, right? Like I'm into this game. So think about this. So for Black Friday, people run to Walmart and all these places because they feel like these liabilities are on sale, right? Well, when the stock market goes on sale, people want to take their money out. That's the perfect time to put money in, right? Because in the streets, you make more money in a drought. And so I keep the same mentality when I'm investing. So to answer your question, my love, is like I wait till the market go on sale. Like
last year?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be real. On March 23rd, I went crazy. Last year, I was dumping everything I had in there. You know what I'm saying? And
I did April. My financial advisor, he was like, wait. He was like, all right, now.
Because he want to see the bottom.
That's
he want to see when it's going to bottom.
That's
like,
right.
for me, I love that. Like, I teach all my people that, yo, like, while it's running up, what we need to be doing is researching businesses. We need to be researching them. We need to be finding out what they work. Because what happens is, it's like expansion, right? You can only expand so much before it has to contract. Right? You can only blow up so much before it has to come back. But when it comes back, that's when we unload. That's when we triple our net worth, yo. It's a game. So, and one of the things people always say is, why don't they teach us this in school? Right? So just, let's think about this, right? Wealthy people don't make wealthy people rich. They give wealthy people ideas so that poor people can make them rich. So they can make us better consumers. Right? So they can put something in our face to make us, right? So the lion is at the top of the food chain game. The lion will never tell the zebra, the giraffe, or the water buffalo how to get away. If he did, how would he eat? Right? Financial predators, financial prey. You got to now transition to being a financial predator, right? And the transition is information. Like, this machine ain't going nowhere. We just got to learn how to play it. And so it's, okay, when the stock market is going down, when they saying it's hyped up, like, I ain't tripping. I'm just, all right, cool. When it pulls back a little bit, 10% is a market correction. So if the stock falls back 10%, that could be a buying opportunity. If it falls down 20%, it's for sure a buying opportunity, right? And so that's all you paying attention to. It doesn't have to be nothing. envy. I barely look at my account. If I see the market running up, there's no reason for me to look at it because I just want to check and see how much money I made, right? But when the market started going down, like the last 2 weeks, I saw the market was down. I was like, oh, it's down. Let me go see what's going on right now. Let me see what deals I can find because some things on sale. And everybody panicking. When I look on that TV and I see it's been red a week in a row, oh yeah, I get happy. All right, let me pay attention to my app now. Let me go in here and find some companies that I already got sitting on the side that I can buy. But if the stock market running, I don't want no part of that. Like, I'm making money.